Hello, everyone. It's an honor to share some ideas with you today on how to be a great board member. But first, I want to thank all of you for filling a critical role in school leadership and governance. If it wasn't for your willingness to dedicate your time and talent as a board member, your school would not exist. You see, school boards are a required component of school governance, and the role you play should not be taken lightly. Your authorizers, staff, students, communities, and families are better off because you were willing to step up and participate in serving. So, what does that service look like? How can you be the best version of a board member for those you serve? Today, we're going to review some general information and 6 core ingredients in this goal: vision, relationships, ethics, accountability, teamwork, and advocacy. First, vision. You were chosen to help directly govern your school. In this role, you set the direction of the school. You establish the standards that you expect your school leaders and staff to achieve, but you don't directly manage the school. You leave the implementation and execution of strategies used to live out your vision to the school leaders and staff. Since you are most likely doers and go-getters, this can sometimes be tough. You want to jump in and solve problems, but your job is to craft the vision for the school, ensure that board policies are in place to establish the proper standards, and leave the implementation of strategy to the school leaders. Your job is also to ensure that all students, regardless of background, have access to a quality education and that are not treated differently. This requires you to be culturally sensitive and aware of the diversity in the communities you serve. You are also part of the outreach team. Your role includes connecting with your community, listening to their concerns, and ensuring that your staff, students, and community have a voice. Reach out and get involved in other events and community activities to represent your school and listen to the needs of your community. You should also develop a strong but independent relationship with your school leader. Remember, working every day in schools filled with students, staff, after-school activities, and parent engagement is a difficult job, and they need to know that you respect their expertise and authority in managing the school. When they ask for help with difficult situations that will occur, offer guidance and support. They are there because they believe in your vision and they want to see it succeed. Perhaps most importantly, set the standard for ethical leadership. Demonstrate integrity, transparency, commitment, and fairness in all your actions and decisions. Make sure that you are regularly present in your board meetings. There will always be the occasional conflict where attendance is impossible, but make that infrequent. You are an important part of the decision-making process and need to be present. Remember that in your role, avoiding conflicts of interest and maintaining independence in your decision-making is paramount. Make sure that all decisions that you make on behalf of the school are fully independent of any personal interests, and make sure to disclose any conflicts and abstain from any decision where conflicts cannot be avoided. In addition, you will be exposed to sensitive information pertaining to staff, students, parents, and other board members, and it is important that you maintain strict confidentiality when necessary. Never make your decisions based on personal opinions or external pressures, but ensure that your decisions are data-driven, meaning that if you were asked to justify a decision, you have hard evidence to back it up. Ensure that you regularly evaluate the performance of your academy related to finances, operations, academics, and compliance. If you feel that your board is lacking knowledge or expertise related to any of these areas, recruit new board members to fill the gap and ask your authorizer or management company for training to help. Attend any professional development opportunities that they offer also, and stay up to date on current policies and educational trends by reading the materials provided to you by your authorizer and others. Things change frequently, and in your role, you will never stop learning. Work hard to build a collaborative, team-oriented approach as a board. Boards that learn to operate as a cohesive group will perform better. Make sure to have open and honest communication with all stakeholders. This creates the feeling of transparency and trust that is critical in governing your school. When conflicts occur, and they will, ensure they do not result in division by focusing on constructive solutions. This will require the desire for you to develop win-win solutions for the benefit of maintaining healthy relationships with your colleagues and stakeholders. Finally, make sure to handle challenges and difficulty with grace and patience. Boards can and do make difficult decisions that are sometimes unpopular, but how the board handles challenging questions when they come will help mitigate conflicts. As a charter school board member, you represent an organization created to support educational choice in your community, and not everyone in your geographic area supports that. Be an advocate for choice and tell the story of your academy and the reasons students, parents, and families benefit from participating. Finally, when things are going well and your school leaders are excited and proud of their success, celebrate with and for them. There's nothing stopping you from personally thanking them, attending special events at the school, or visiting staff at the school to express your appreciation for their work and efforts. This builds the trust and rapport critical in your effort at building a cohesive school community focused on the vision you've created. Now let's talk a little about some more specific information you should know in order to perform your role effectively. There are some differences between your school and the local school district that you should be familiar with, since you may be asked by community members not familiar with charter schools. First, this chart can help explain some of those differences. Your school, which is a public school academy or PSA, was created to fill a specific community need not being met by your local school district or LEA, typically identified by community members or innovators who have a new school concept where there is a demand from parents evident in the market. Anyone can apply to start a PSA through an authorizer, but there are typically very stringent application requirements in place to ensure that only qualified applicants are successful. In Michigan, the law allows local school districts, intermediate school districts, or ISDs, community colleges, and universities to act as authorizers. Another difference is in funding. PSAs obtain resources through state and federal school aid and grants, much like local school districts, but do not qualify for local millage income. That means in order for a PSA to fund building or infrastructure improvements or purchases, they must borrow money. This forces most PSAs to lease facilities until they have enough students to buy or build a building, but they must use state school aid revenue to pay for those investments. Your local school district has the ability to request an increase in the local school millage rate to fund these purchases and pay down the debt associated with them. In addition, board members of PSAs are appointed by the authorizer, where board members of the local school district are elected by local voters. Ferris encourages board members that are present in the communities the school serves and have expertise that will help the school thrive. I'd also like to address the involvement of management companies in running schools, an irritant you may hear about from some legislators and local school district leaders. First, when a PSA is created, the people who initially start the application are many times educators with a passion to educate differently. They do not have finance, compliance, human resource systems, and real estate management expertise. When that happens, they need to find a provider for those services, and management companies fill that gap. In addition, some management companies specialize in their approach to education and form partnerships with leaders in other communities who want that same educational choice, and new schools are formed through that partnership. Management companies have become an integral part of charter school growth and supporting community educational needs in Michigan. Most, but not all PSAs are supported by management companies. Some PSAs are self-managed, building their own central office function, or contract for support from their ISDs for that service. PSAs are also not required to pay into the state school employees retirement plan, nicknamed MIPSers. This has also been a hot button for legislators and local school leaders. In lieu of MIPSers contributions, most management companies provide their own defined contribution retirement plans. Some contribute to MIPSers, however, so we can't say that no PSAs contribute to MIPSers. However, as you can imagine, the state retirement system is very expensive. And when you're forced to use state school aid to pay for the purchase of buildings and other school infrastructure, you have to make choices. There's also a general misunderstanding in public circles about the oversight of your school, and you can help by sharing this information. Contrary to public opinion, public school academies are held accountable by several layers of oversight. The Michigan Department of Education annually collects and reports all of the same operational and academic data, or PSAs, as for local school districts, and provides that information in an identical form on their websites. All PSAs must maintain identical transparency reporting requirements through the transparency icon all public schools in Michigan must have on their websites. I would encourage you to become familiar with what's provided there on your school's website. My School Data, a state website that shares academic data about all schools in Michigan, including yours, is identical for PSAs as for local school districts. And all PSAs must follow the state assessment testing requirements. I would encourage you to visit My School Data to see what the public knows about your school. Your school leaders or your authorizer can provide you a link and training if you need it. University authorizers like Ferris voluntarily participate in audits performed by the Michigan Department of Education on our authorizing practices, and any university opening schools in the Detroit area must also be accredited. Ferris has passed all MDE audits and is accredited by Cognia. The law requires that authorizers provide the state with an annual report on authorizing, detailing its core responsibilities, how the authorizer's money has been spent to support those responsibilities, and many details related to the schools under the authoriser's oversight. Those reports are required to be publicly available on every university's website. If you'd like to learn more about the way your authorizer monitors your school, ask your authorizer for a link to this report. ISDs provide similar oversight of the PSAs located in their jurisdiction as they do for their local school districts, including special education compliance, pupil accounting, and other oversight. Because legislation has transferred the authority to open or close your school to your authorizer, we, the authorizer, has the responsibility to perform our role with integrity and care. Authorizers are responsible for monitoring academic, operational, compliance, and financial characteristics of authorized schools. And they hold the ultimate authority for closing a school not meeting the standards required by authorizing contract. Active and involved authorizers can act as an additional oversight and support partner beyond what a local school district would have. The PSA school board holds the ultimate responsibility for operating the school and, in your case, contract with a management company to assist in that effort. Authorizers do not operate their authorized schools. Given that the authorizer provides an additional layer of oversight, what do? As previously mentioned, authorizers can be a local school district, an ISD, a community college, or a university, and there's significant autonomy in how authorizers operate. But there are legal oversight requirements all authorizers must follow. I'll be specifically discussing Ferris State University's oversight model, which may or may not represent other authorizers' practices. Ferris follows the National Association of Charter School Authorizers Principles and Standards of Quality Charter School Authorizing, which establish guiding principles and core responsibilities of a high-quality authorizer model. Those principles and responsibilities require us to, number one, set high standards for both our schools and our charter applicants. Two, assume responsibility for holding schools accountable for those standards, not for implementing specific strategies, managing school staff, or any other school function. We do not directly manage our schools. We make the well-being and interests of students, families, and communities the fundamental value of authorizing. And we hold schools accountable for sound governance, management, stewardship of public funds, and operational transparency as required by law. We do this through the practice of our core authorizing responsibilities. Further details of what those entail can be found in our university report on authorizing mentioned previously. Your school is authorized for a period of time as defined by the contract between the authorizer and your school board. When the term of your contract approaches, your school is reviewed for reauthorization by your authorizer. Depending upon how well your school meets its contractual requirements, determines how long or whether or not you will earn the right to be reauthorized. As a board member, you should be familiar with the contract that exists between your board and your authorizer, as it spells out very clearly the contractual requirements necessary to ensure that your school stays on track for meeting its requirements to continue providing service. Now let's talk a little about effective board management. The Open Meetings Act was created to ensure that public decision-making processes are open and accessible to the community. And because you're a public board, you must follow the Open Meetings Act. Any gathering of a quorum of board members discussing public business is considered a public meeting and must be publicly noticed and open to the public with limited exceptions, including closed sessions. Public meetings must be announced in advance with details about time, date, and location. Written minutes of meetings must be taken and made available to the public. Closed sessions are allowed only for specific purposes, including personnel matters and legal strategy, and must be documented in the minutes with a justification. Not complying with the Open Meetings Act can lead to legal challenges, invalidated decisions, and reputational harm. Be familiar with this important act and always consult legal counsel if there are uncertainties about compliance with the Open Meetings Act requirements. Robert's Rules of Order is a widely recognized framework for conducting meetings that ensures efficiency, fairness, and respect for all participants. The rules are designed to provide a structured process that upholds the principle of equal rights, giving all members the opportunity to speak and vote while ensuring the majority's decision-making power is balanced by protections for the minority. Meetings typically follow a clear structure, starting with a call to order, followed by the approval of the agenda and minutes. Reports are presented, motions are made to propose decisions or actions, discussions take place, and voting is conducted before the meeting adjourns. The presiding officer, such as the board chair, plays a critical role in guiding the process, ensuring that the meeting runs smoothly and that all participants adhere to the established rules. By using Robert's Rules, boards can encourage participation, foster clear communication, and maintain order during discussions. A basic understanding of these rules can significantly enhance the productivity and effectiveness of your meetings. Finally, a brief statement about professionally handling public comment during your meetings. Public comment is a vital part of school board meetings, providing community members the opportunity to share their thoughts and concerns. Board members should approach this time with respect and attentiveness, listening actively without engaging in debate or making immediate decisions. Clear guidelines, such as time limits and sign-up procedures, should be established and communicated at the start of the meeting to ensure fairness and order. While it's important to acknowledge the speaker's input, board members should refrain from responding directly to maintain the integrity of the meeting process and avoid unintentionally committing the board to action. In closing, you can do this. You were chosen to be a board member because someone believed in you and your ability to support the goals and vision of your academy. They saw you as a desired and valuable member of the team who would be committed to the cause, and they wanted you to be part of the effort. You have the distinct honor of helping to make the world a better place with your time and talents. Thank you again for your willingness to lead, and take some of these ideas to heart as you become great in your role as a board member.